Now available in paperback and e-readers, Isis, Samurai Goddess. The goddess next door takes on kung fu killers in this action-packed martial arts Isis series adventure. Get Isis, Samurai Goddess in paperback and e-readers today. In a previous video, I talked about Mo Nique's frustrations with black Hollywood and white liberal Hollywood. And in this video, I'm going to talk about the many mistakes Mo Nique made along the way that pretty much led to her becoming blacklisted not only in black Hollywood, but blacklisted by white liberals. And the first mistake your Mo Nique pretty much made was she didn't understand the subtle politics transpiring around her. Now, this is a phrase I've used in many novels, such as The Temptation of John Haynes, and it's apt here because you have to understand the subtle politics transpiring around you when you are involved in the entertainment industry. Nothing is what it seems, and your Mo Nique was pretty much naive to the subtle politics transpiring around her. She didn't understand that in order to be a part of the entertainment industry, you have to understand the narrative you're supposed to follow. And she didn't really listen to the people who were pretty much a part of that narrative, such as Lee Daniels, Tyler Perry, and Oprah Winfrey, people who people in white liberal Hollywood would consider buffer Negroes. Now, your buffer Negro's job is to make sure that the rank and file are pretty much following lockstep behind them. They are the leaders of black Hollywood, and they pretty much want to make sure everyone is following on the same page and pretty much following the exact same narrative. Mo Nique pretty much thought she could be free to be whoever she wanted to be and present her own narrative on Hollywood stage. That's not the case at all, especially when it comes to black Hollywood. When it comes to black Hollywood is pretty much a subsidiary of white liberal Hollywood, and their job is to pretty much do whatever the white liberal tells them to. This is why he puts buffer Negroes like Lee Daniels, Oprah Winfrey, and Tyler Perry and Steve Harvey in charge, and their job, again, is to pretty much make sure that these Negroes in Hollywood are following the party line and to continue to promote the narrative that the white liberal wants representing black people. I don't think Mo Nique got the memo on this, and because she didn't get the memo on it, what happened was she got frustrated because she didn't understand her role in black Hollywood. Now, black Hollywood has certain roles for certain actresses, and when it comes down to lead actresses like Halle Berry, they pretty much fit a certain look because that also fits with what the white liberal wants represented on screen. And you had your Mo Nique out here who thought after winning this Oscar she could be a serious actress on the level of a Halle Berry and play the same roles as a Halle Berry. But what happened was she ran into the wall from the buffer Negroes, such as Lee Daniels and Tyler Perry. They had a certain role set for her, and they only needed her to play that certain role. And this is something that a lot of people don't know about black Hollywood. Black Hollywood these days pretty much has certain set roles for certain actors, and if you fit the look that they want and are following the narrative that they want, they'll put you in that role. They don't want to put somebody in a role who they feel is going to not say what they want said or do what they want done. And when the way Mo Nique was talking to agents and people in Hollywood, such as Lee Daniels, who were buffer Negroes, she was showing that she was pretty much trying to be her own woman. And that pretty much made her a loose cannon. And that's why they were saying she was, quote-unquote, difficult to work with. The reason why she was difficult to work with was because she was following her own road, presenting her own view on Hollywood, and not following the script that white liberals wanted presented regarding the black woman. As long as you follow the script that the white liberal wants presented regarding the black woman, he has no problem with you working in Hollywood. Women like Taraji P. Henson, who play the role like she does on Empire, or women like Kerry Washington, who play the role of the side piece on Scandal, your white liberal has no problem with them because they are pretty much following lockstep right behind the buffer Negroes like Shonda Rhimes, doing as they're told, and being the dutiful slaves they are to white liberal Hollywood. And as long as you are in your role, playing your role in Hollywood, they have no problem with you. If Mo Nique continued to play mammy roles, they would have had no problem with her. However, your Mo Nique wanted to be a serious actress. She wanted to compete, and she wanted to be in lead roles that were offered to people like Angela Bassett and Halle Berry. She wanted to be on that level. Unfortunately, the white liberal pretty much had her right in the role of playing the mammy, and she didn't want to play the mammy. So that was another big problem with your Mo Nique. And the second mistake your Mo Nique made had to do with money. Now, Mo Nique was pretty much right in asking for more money because she was an Oscar winning actress. And Oscar winning actresses pretty much get a higher asking price when they are considered for roles. Now, your Mo Nique pretty much said that a lot of the scripts she was being offered were very nice. However, the compensation wasn't fair, especially when you compare it to other Oscar winners such as Meryl Streep, who makes $20 million a picture, Angelina Jolie, who makes $20 million a picture, and other producers and actresses like Sarah Jessica Parker and Demi Moore, who have made $15 to $17 million a film, and then if they become producers, go on to make hundreds of millions more. Your Mo Nique only wanted to probably get the million or $2 million asking price that every other white actress usually gets on a standard deal, and she was pretty much right for asking for that. However, because she approached things the wrong way and did not go through the buffer Negroes like Lee Daniels and Tyler Perry and Oprah Winfrey, they pretty much said, no, we don't want to pay you this. We want to continue paying you a $200,000 salary at best. And that really was discriminatory when you think about it. Because when you think about women like Meryl Streep, um, Angelina Jolie, Julia Roberts, and many others, they get paid top dollar because they are Oscar winning actresses. And having that Oscar winning actress on the bill pretty much means you're going to get butts into seats. And that means that you're going to get attention for your movie that you wouldn't usually get. But your Mo Nique was told that she had to settle for a lesser salary. And by doing this, your white liberal pretty much showed how hypocritical they were. But Mo Nique didn't go about it the right way. Instead, she got emotional and took things personal, attacking Lee Daniels and Tyler Perry instead of trying to expose the hypocrisy behind white liberal Hollywood as it relates to salaries. Because I've seen many white actresses get on stage, like at the Oscars a couple of years ago. One of them, who had won a Best Actress Oscar, went out and said, we need equal pay. However, many black actresses never get equal compensation for playing the same roles. You can have an Oscar winner like a Mo Nique or many other black actresses who have won Oscars like Viola Davis, and they are never compensated on the same level. Meanwhile, these white women will be getting $10, $15, $20 million, and maybe a actress like Halle Berry will get $10 or $15 million because she is light-skinned and fits the narrative white liberals want regarding light-skinned women. They'll get more money, but black actresses in general do not get paid on the same level as white actresses. So Mo Nique's argument pretty much was based on emotion, but if she were to come and break the facts down like I am right now, she would have no problem getting support from everyone out there, because the way black actresses are compensated in Hollywood is racist, reprehensible, and egregious. I know and read the salaries of many black actresses, and when compared to white actresses, the white actresses make far more money, than your black actresses. Your black actresses are expected to take low pay, even though they have been proven to do strongly at the box office like Mo Nique has. They have been forced to take lower salaries, even though they've been proven to be strong performers or even better performers than white actresses. However, they're told they have to take a lower salary, and that is really a slap in the face. So if Mo Nique were to have argued that point the same way I am arguing it right now, she would have no problem getting support. However, she didn't argue the point properly, and that's why she pretty much wound up blacklisted by your Lee Daniels, your Tyler Perry, and your Oprah Winfrey. Now, they may not even have wanted to listen to that point. However, she needed to go out and approach it that way. And because she approached it from an emotional standpoint and not a tactical business standpoint, her argument pretty much made her look like she was being argumentative, difficult, and combative, and that's why they said she was difficult to work with. They were trying to push a narrative to say that this slave was not acting in the way a slave should do. She was thinking that this field Negro was thinking like a house Negro, because that's what your buffer Negroes pretty much are. It's these house Negroes who believe they are in charge of the white liberals' slave plantation, which is Hollywood, Black Hollywood. And if you don't do things the way they want done, they pretty much make efforts to blacklist you. I'm sorry, just a little sweaty, but they make efforts to pretty much get rid of you. And that's what they did with your Mo Nique. They pretty much made an effort to get her out of Hollywood because she was not following their narrative, doing what they wanted her to do, and following lockstep behind them. They were looking for her to pretty much be a slave on the plantation, like your Octavia Spencer, like your Taraji P. Henson, like many others, pretty much following in the footsteps of the buffer Negroes right behind the white liberal, doing what they want done, and presenting the narrative they want represented regarding Black Hollywood. And this is the thing that a lot of people don't understand about your Black Hollywood. Your Black Hollywood is comprised of a lot of buffer Negroes. And these buffer Negroes, again, their job is to, one, pretty much keep the black community under control, and two, to promote the narrative that the white liberal wants promoted regarding black people in the black community. These entertainers pretty much are paid to do whatever they're told by the white liberal, and they don't need you to think. And this is the other mistake that your Mo Nique pretty much made. She thought she could think on her own. And this is something the white liberal doesn't need from his entertainment slaves. All he needs his entertainment slaves to do is be like that monkey that pretty much is right next to the organ grinder and just clap those cymbals together. He does not need his slaves to pretty much think. And Mo Nique made the big mistake of thinking that she could think for herself, do for herself, or be who she wanted to be. No, when it comes down to Black Hollywood, you are whatever this white liberal wants you to be. You do whatever the white liberal tells you to do, and you think however the white liberal wants you to think. It is pretty much an environment set up for people to be pretty much the slaves that they are. It is just no different from any other slave plantation out here. All the slaves did whatever the master wanted done, and all they want these black entertainers to do in Hollywood is buck dance, bojangle, shine shoes, slice watermelons, and pretty much be whatever the white liberal wants them to be. And if they are good, he will pretty much let them star in his movies, or if they're extra good, he will pretty much let them make a little independent film project here and there, because that's his reward for this loyalty of these buck dancing, bojangling, buffer Negroes who just step and fetch it for these white liberals, doing whatever they're told. And Mo Nique, as I said before, just didn't get the memo. And because she didn't get the memo, she didn't understand how the game was played, nor did she understand the subtle politics transpiring around her. Because if she understood the subtle politics transpiring around her, the same way that I understand the subtle politics transpiring around Hollywood, she pretty much would have probably taken that $200,000, even though she was being paid woefully under, and pretty much did her buck dancing mammy role like she did in Precious, and had a nice life. Because that's what the white liberal pretty much wants his slaves to do. As long as you fit into his box and keep his world smooth, he has no problem with you. But if you make his world chaos, he will pretty much cut you out of his world, and then you will pretty much learn how miserable it is. And with your Mo Nique, she pretty much has been blacklisted, and now she is very angry because she thought she had an actual fair chance in Hollywood. No, you never had a fair chance in Hollywood. When it comes down to Hollywood, everything is about what the white liberal wants and maintaining the smoothness of his world. As long as you make sure that he has no problems and no conflicts and no issues in the black community, and these Negroes are pretty much pacified by you being a buck dancing, bojangling, tap dancing, shoe shining minstrel, he has no problem with you Negroes. However, once you start talking about things like Mo Nique was talking about regarding equal pay, a positive presentation of yourself, or a lead role, then he has a problem with you. And then that's when he deploys and sends out his buffer Negroes to pretty much push you to the wall. And the saddest part about this whole thing is that your Mo Nique only went up against the buffer Negroes. Because you have to understand, the buffer Negroes were only the first line of defense. When it comes down to this white liberal and calling him on his racism, because this is the other mistake Mo Nique made, where she thought that this was only about Daniels, Perry, and Winfrey. No, Daniels, Perry, and Winfrey were just buffer Negroes. Their job was to pretty much be that first line of defense, keep that wall up, and make sure that she got in line. And then after they did that, they pretty much blacklisted her and knocked her out. So she didn't even get past the first line of defense, because as I've said before in previous videos, there are numerous lines of defense when it comes to calling this white liberal the racist he is. And the first one is the buffer Negro. And he'll pretty much come out and say things like, you're a coon, you're an Uncle Tom, you're a sellout. Or in the case of Mo Nique, he will just call you difficult and say you have an attitude. The second line of defense, if you get past the buffer Negro, is the white feminist. Now, the white feminist is an individual who will try to shame you based on gender, or in the case of a black woman, he'll try to shame you on race by saying you're a sexist, or you're pretty much trying to violate the rights of women, or you're trying to set the rights of women back. Now, if you get past the white feminist, then you're going to have to deal with the homosexual. And this is the third line of defense from the white liberal. And this is the guy who will call you a homophobe and say that you are pretty much trying to bash gays and that you're intolerant. And if you can finally get past him, you will probably run into some other buffer groups. And then if you can finally get past them, you might get to the white liberal. But he has several lines of defense to try to shame someone into submission or to shame them into silence. And the whole point of the white liberal is that he is the biggest racist in the room, right next to the white female. But you will never hear this, because when it comes down to the white liberal, he wants his world smooth. And because he wants his world smooth, he pretty much uses these buffer groups to keep his world smooth, so people won't see him for the racist he is, and won't call him on how intolerant he is, or call him on all of the dysfunction he is spreading in the communities, because he wants his world smooth and he doesn't want to deal with any of the problems he has caused with his dysfunctional ideas regarding tolerance, with his dysfunctional ideas regarding social programs, and his dysfunctional ideas regarding the structure of society. If you were to go and call this white liberal the racist he truly is, then that's when you're going to have trouble. And Mo Nique pretty much ran into one of the first line of defense, and she pretty much fell hard. And the reason why she fell hard is because she, again, just didn't understand the subtle politics around her. Now, I pretty much go into the subtle politics transpiring around people in books like All About Maryland and The Temptation of John Haynes. And you can pick up both of those books on Amazon.com by clicking the link in the description box. And if you like this channel, you can continue to support it by clicking a link to the Patreon link in the description box. A $1 donation will help me go a long way. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.
Now available in paperback and e-readers, Spellbound, A Darker Shade of Black. Get your copy today at your favorite online book